Hello everybody and welcome to a little lesson on value with watercolor. We haven't started working with watercolors yet, but that is the project that we're going to get into right away. So I am here in the art room and I'm going to show you. I had a chance today to clean up the art room. I know you guys have been in the meetings in the last little bit, and if you look behind me in those meetings, you can see all the big mess that was on all these tables. But we've had a chance to clean that up, so that's my proud moment to show you guys. So I want to flip over here because I want to show you our principles and elements of design. And as we've talked about before, the reason that we look at the principles and elements of design is because these help you to make successful artwork, to make good artwork. So we have been really focusing on texture so far when we did that pencil crayon project, when we did more with the pencil crayons. We've done a little bit of work on value. We've done some work with color and line, but for this watercolor project, we're really going to be focusing on value again, because value is kind of the first step to really help you to be making really successful watercolor pieces. So we're going to take a look at some of the artworks that some students previously made that left them behind here that are sort of really, really well done. So the reason I want to look at some really, really well done ones is because we want to have that achievable goal, and we want to see what is possible, and we want to see, because when I'm talking to you about value, I want you to see the reason that you want to learn about value and why it's going to help you to make your artwork better. So if we take a look at just the face of this artwork, which is really, really well done, the face has what you would call a range of values. And what that means is that there's really, really light parts. So the tip of the nose here, kind of this sort of side of the nose there. There's like really, really light parts in here. This kind of tip of the chin is really, really light. So those areas are basically the lightest value she has on the face there. If we look closely at the sides of the nose and in here, and kind of the areas of the top of the nose underneath here, that I would say would be like the darkest values in the face. And then the areas like at the side here, and then kind of under the eyes and those spots, those are all kind of medium values and mid-tones. So within the face here, there's really, really dark, there's really, really light, and there's all sort of medium tones in between the light and the dark. So one of the reasons that this face is well done is because it has all of those lights and darks and sort of a smooth transition from the light to darks, so fading and having that different range of value. Hopefully that's a first, is kind of making sense to you. We'll take a look at this artwork here, which is like kind of some sort of the side of a building here. So if we look at just this spot on the artwork here, this is like very, very little saturation of color. It's fairly light. There's lots of water used there. And then looking at this part of the building and this part of the building here too, you can see that this is really, really dark area. So these dark spots where the bricks are, she's gone over top, is like a really heavy, heavy value and a dark value. And then underneath that is a little bit lighter and different mid-tones. So just looking at these brick areas and this kind of background, there's a range in values there. So dark areas, light areas, but yet it's all kind of the same orange tones. You can see that kind of the same type of thing if we look at just this area with the browns and yellows, and just in one of these little cove things, there's a really, really light value and then a medium value going to a dark value. And so that's sort of helping give those little coves like dimension, giving it some life and making it more interesting. Taking a look at this artwork. This is actually a combination of pencil crayon and watercolor in this one, but if we look at even just the shirt, which is pencil crayon, but the same idea. So it's all green, like the whole shirt is green, but there's so many different levels of green within it. There's dark green, there's medium greens, and then there's light greens. So having all of those different tones of green, tones of different value, are helping to make this well done. Give it shape, give it dimension, make it look more realistic, and make it to be like a well done artwork. This one is a really large piece, and this one is interesting because the way that she's sort of, the style of it is neat, and that she's sectioned off almost this change in value. So you can see that it's almost more obvious in this one, and it's just the style that she's chosen to work with. So the background is a really, really light value. She's got some lighter areas of value within the face, and then also some really dark areas of value within the face. And then along the neck here, this is a really light value, and then dark values. And then the whole sort of, even the hair, you could say there's lots of saturation in there, but she's brought in this white on top of it to bring in some other, you know, levels of value in it in that way. So hopefully that helps you guys to sort of get a little bit of an explanation about what, you know, the first idea of value is when working with watercolor. The first task you guys are going to do is going to be creating a value scale and a color combination, things that looks like this. But just talking about the value scale first. So you're going to be practicing having a really, really heavy dark value, and then a really, really light value, and all of the midtones in between. So the reason that we want to practice something like this is that when we get to creating our artwork, and you are doing something that needs to have, you know, those different values in it, you know, and you've had a practice to create dark values, to create light values, and how you're going to have all of those midtones within the middle of it. So to start off with, you will bring out the art kit that you have, and you have a little paper clipped section of papers. And there is, the one large page is going to be for a final artwork. You've got two smaller ones, which you will leave for now. And then you've got the longer sheet. And that's what you're going to start off with. And you're going to first take a ruler, and you're going to make sections. So you're going to have 12. So each one will be at 1 inch. So you could draw a line across. Each one will be at 1 inch. And you're going to have 12 different sections that you're going to create those different values, and then you'll have a second line there, and then we'll worry about this one afterwards. So we'll focus on this for now. I'm going to do a sped up version of this so you can watch it in a much quicker run than real time. So I'm just going to shut this one off and get to that one right away. Okay. So looking at the scale that I just did, you can see that I went back into a lot of areas a lot of the time, and that's okay, because when you're actually making your artwork, that's what it's about, is going back and forth and getting those tones and those saturation areas right. So the likely chance that you would get this exactly how you wanted it on the first go is pretty rare. So so keep in mind that you just kind of want to be going back in and sort of playing with it and getting all the tones that you want right, so that you see that each box is different going down from your very darkest to your very lightest. Okay. The second practice skill we're going to do is to be blending colors. So you're going to be mixing and fading from one color into another. The reason that we want to do this, we'll take a look back into this artwork again, and we'll just look at this area in the neck here where she's got this kind of area of like a kind of a pinky, is fading into more of like a violet, a purple, fading into like this dark purple, and then almost like really a dark blue, kind of like in this area. So that's like a color blending and fading and mixing within that artwork. And within, you know, any artwork that you do when you're working with watercolors, you want to have those color transitions and color mixing. So we're going to do a little bit of a practice on how to get a nice change from moving from one color to another. Just as a side note, when you are thinking about the colors that you're going to be using for your transition, so here, you know, yellow going into orange, going into red. I just showed you guys a red going into purple, going into blue. You want to make sure that you are obviously thinking about your color wheel and which colors mix into which ones. So if you feel like you don't know the color wheel well enough to do it off the top of your head, Google a color wheel and then choose colors that are beside each other on the color wheel. So if we look at the color wheel and we look at this example, yellow going into orange, going into red, yellow moves into orange, moves into red, right? Here, red moves into purple, moves into blue, red moves into purple, moves into blue. Okay, so another one you could do, you could go blue into green into yellow. You could go green into yellow into orange. You know, there's, you know, a variety of combinations you can do, but just be making sure that those colors are beside each other on the color wheel that you are trying to blend. So that is step one for watercolor techniques. On that long sheet, you're going to have a value scale from darkest to lightest, and you're going to have a color transition of 3 colors being mixed and blended together.